Hey there, people. In today's podcast, I'm going to be interviewing Jessica, who is from the USA, and she is a clinical crisis supervisor. And we're going to be talking about mental health, um, uh, stress, mental disorders, importance of mental health on physical health, and lots of other things. So stay tuned till the end and let me know in the comments how do you feel about this podcast. As of now, I'm waiting for Jessica to join. Once she joins, we're gonna embark on this journey. Hey there, Jessica. Good evening to you.
How are you?
Pretty well. I was just waiting for you, and I was telling my viewers that Jessica is a clinical crisis supervisor, and we're gonna be talking about mental health, mental awareness, this sort of things. So I'm really looking forward to gaining some experience, knowledge from you.
Me too. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely, Jessica. And yeah, so tell me a little bit about yourself, Jessica.
Well, I started in the behavioral health field about 12 years ago. I started off as a case manager at a community mental health agency. I did a lot of community-based work, some crisis work there as well. And then I started going to school for my master's degree in social work. So I moved over to a crisis stabilization unit and was a case manager there for a little bit. Um, I finished up my master's in social work and moved into different areas of crisis. So I was a hospital liaison for a while. Then I was on our mobile crisis team for a bit, where I would do co-response with police officers or responding to crises in the community. Um, and then from there, I went on to be a program manager for a small agency in northern Colorado that helps families experiencing homelessness.
Mm.
So it was a different kind of crisis, not as much mental health, but still quite a bit of mental health. And then, the just the existing crises too that they were going through and with their homelessness status as well. I stayed there for a little while and then moved right back into crisis work again. I started working out of an emergency department doing crisis level of care assessments. And then I started doing that remotely and then moved into my clinical supervisor role just more recently.
Wow, astonishing. And when you talked about homelessness, like I was recently watching a blog on YouTube, and there was like the blogger or like there was some information that the homelessness is increasing exponentially in United States. Like a lot of people, we like in New York, a lot of people were on the streets, and I'm like I'm not sure if that's the true case or not. So I want to know from you: is it true that homelessness is increasing exponentially?
It is increasing pretty quickly. I've been out of the homelessness scene for a couple of years now, but when I was the program manager there, we had a lot of families that were experiencing homelessness, and it was right at the height of COVID as well. So folks were, dealing with evictions from pre-COVID, and then kind of either getting back into housing or having their housing maintained through the grants and everything that they were, freezing the evictions during that time. So homelessness was kind of steady for a little while, but it's definitely been increasing, especially after the COVID, um, freezing the eviction processes for COVID victims. Then um, it really started increasing after that too.
Okay, and your present job is as a clinical supervisor, right?
Yes.
Okay, intriguing. So that has to do with mental health.
Yes, so I'm a clinical supervisor for the crisis hotline out of Colorado. We are the contractors for the 988 line, which is going to be the nationwide crisis line for mental health.
Okay, makes sense. And what does mental health mean to you personally?
It means everything. I've made it into my career. It's my passion. I think that it's so important to have awareness around, and um, personally, it's just extremely intriguing to me. I think that people themselves are just fascinating, and I love learning about individuals all the time.
Intriguing. Wow. And do you think that mental health is often overlooked or misunderstood?
Maybe misunderstood. I think that there's a lot of misrepresentation in a lot of media, like movies and TV shows and things like that. And especially with criminalization of mental illness as well. The majority of folks that are experiencing mental illness are more likely to be victims of violent crimes than the actual perpetrators of violent crimes. So I think that there's a misunderstanding there as well. It's just that some of these things get sensationalized, and
Mm,
then their mental illness gets highlighted to kind of accentuate the fact that this could be the driving, a driving force to whatever tragedy happened. But yeah, I think that mental illness is definitely misunderstood for sure.
and if I tell you honestly, from my observation, I feel like the rise in mental cases is increasing. Like prior to COVID, there was not that kind of things. Like, people were not that much depressed, but now it's like quite common among people to feel anxiety, depression, and other mental disorders. So, what's your take on it? What do you feel about it?
I think that anything like a global pandemic would cause increased stress for anyone. And I think where it turns into an actual mental illness is really where it's based in trauma, to me at least. So I think that everything can be explained by trauma. And if it's, it becomes more of a mental illness when it can be rooted and traced back to that versus stressors or other anxiety kinds of things that could be explained from just regular happenings that are just regular like everyday things that happen.
Hmm. And Jessica, personally, I feel like if I tell you honestly, I feel like the world ain't getting better. It's getting worse day by day. Um, the entire world, I feel like that in terms of mental health, in terms of all the other aspects. So, what's your take on it? Do you feel the same, or do you have difference of opinion in terms of the entire world?
Um, I think that I think that everything is maybe getting a little bit more I guess
Challenging, stressful?
diagnosable.
Okay.
Yeah, or it's the diagnostic criteria for a lot of mental illnesses has been expanding over the years as well. So I think that awareness is raising around it as well, and the diagnostic criteria has increased, and then there's just a lot more people in the world too. So I think that we're kind of seeing a lot more cases in general. So proportionately, I'm not sure if it's increasing or not, but it definitely does feel worse right now.
Hmm, true. Yeah, couldn't agree more with you. And Jessica, like, why is it important to talk about, mental health openly?
It's important to help reduce the stigma around mental illness. If we're talking about it openly and we're having these discussions and conversations with each other on an individual basis or even higher levels of other systems and everything like that, it helps to shine a light on mental illness and not have it be so stigmatized. There's still, as much as the stigma has decreased over the last several years for mental health, it's still very much present. And it targets certain populations more than others for sure.
Definitely. Like, if we have some sort of disease or if we are feeling under the weather, we would say that I'm gonna visit a doctor. But if we are suffering from any kind of stress or anxiety, no one says that I'm gonna go to a therapist, even if
Right.
need it. Yeah. So why do you feel like there's still some sort of stigma around therapy and counseling?
I think that there's always going to be some stigma around it. I think that there's always going to be a viewpoint of it being a weakness and something that is just in your head.
Yeah.
Um, and something to just be able to get over. Um, but the more research that comes out and the more knowledge we have around, which mental illnesses are linked to which genes and what's hereditary and what isn't. I think that that's helping with like some of the harder science to kind of um, back the whole idea of mental health being very real and not anything to be ashamed about, just like having diabetes or something like that.
True. Makes sense. And how do you keep your mental health in check? Like, what sort of things, techniques do you do? And what sort of advice would you like to give to the viewers so that they can make their mental health better?
I think as far as my own mental health, I mean, I have a therapist, so I think everybody should have a therapist.
Nice.
Um, it's just, always a good, it's just like going to your primary care provider. Um, and I do a lot of, I try to balance my work and home life really well, instead of pouring too much into one or the other, because I do have this passion for my career, but then I also have family that I'm very, that I'm very committed to and everything. So I don't want to, you know, put too much into each one or not enough into each one. So I try to balance those really well. Um, I do a lot of things outside. I think being outside is a huge factor in any kind of mental wellness. Um, and I also just do like arts and crafts and just kind of different little things, gadgets, doodling, like things like that that kind of help. Listening to music, reading books, watching movies, all of those
Oh,
kinds of things.
intriguing. So you had me at books and movies. So I want to know what are your favorite movies and books? First, let's go with movies.
Movies, I really like comedies and horror movies.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me the names, Jessica. What are the horror films that you often watch?
I like the Conjuring series.
Conjuring. Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, with Annabelle and the Nun, and yeah, I like
Yeah.
that series.
Yes. Great. Are you waiting for the fourth part, the last one?
Yes. Yep, I'm excited for that part to come out.
Yeah. Uh, True. Like I remember the first time I watched that series, like The Conjuring Part One. Do you remember the scene where there was this witch or like ghost who was on the top of the cupboard and she jumped off? That
Yep.
scared the hell out of me, you know.
Yeah, that got me too.
I would also recommend you one film that I watched recently in terms of horror genre, Until Dawn. Have you watched?
Oh, I've heard of that one. I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it yet
Yeah,
though.
go with that. It's really awesome. It's phenomenal. Yeah, Until Dawn.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good. I'll definitely have to watch it.
definitely. And other films apart from Conjuring, Jessica?
Um, I really like um anything by like Rob Zombie.
Yeah, yeah, Zombieland. Intriguing. Yeah, Zombieland. And also the one. Have you watched the series Final Destination?
I think I watched one of them, but I haven't seen the entire series.
Oh,
No.
okay. You should go with that. Final
Yeah.
Destination. Yeah, so is also pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. And what about comedy films?
Comedy. let's see. I like series when it comes to comedy, so things like Parks and Rec or Schitt's Creek or things like that.
Intriguing. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Currently, I'm binge watching, not binge watching, but I'm simply watching Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah. I used to watch that a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty, family kind of series, lighthearted, so it's fun to watch.
Right, for sure.
And okay, coming back to our topic, yeah, before we do that, what are some of your favorite actors, Jessica? As you are in,
Favorite actor?
yeah, actors and actresses.
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know that I have a favorite. I have favorite characters, I suppose. Um, I mean, in the Walking Dead series, I really like Negan.
Nice, intriguing.
So, yeah.
What about books, Jessica? Which kind of genre do you admire?
Usually serial killer novels.
Hmm, intriguing. Wow.
Yeah. Or books around I read a lot of books around like trauma-informed care and trauma perspectives too. So as far as in the field, I read things like trauma stewardship and books like that. So but for brain candy kind of reads, I like the serial killer novels.
And who's your favorite author, or like the author that you read the most?
Right now it's John Mars.
Okay, Sean Mars. Okay, I was into Agatha Christie. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, she has written some like phenomenal novels like Murder on the Orient Express, then
Yeah.
the Death on the Nile, River Nile, I guess. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay. I haven't read any of hers yet, but
Okay.
I'll have to for sure.
Hmm. And coming back to mental health, Jessica, um, like how important is sleep, diet, exercise for mental health?
It's just as important as it is for physical health. I mean, sleep, diet, and exercise are really kind of the basic needs that everyone requires to function. And so, if you're not sleeping, then nothing is really going right. If you're not eating right, then your brain isn't getting the nutrients either. Um, and exercise is just good to help with any kind of like anxiety, depression, anything that's going on really. But sleep is hugely important for sure. It's one of the first things that we ask about in any kind of assessments is, how are you sleeping recently? And what does that look like? Has it been different? And has it changed or, anything like that?
Yeah.
So extremely important.
And Jessica, like a lot of people romanticize this thing, this idea that I burn the midnight oil. I work so hard. Sometimes I burn the midnight oil. I stay late at night to finish the deadlines and all. So, do you think that's the right way to approach work? Like, is it the right way to do that?
Um, like staying up late to finish projects and not
Yeah,
having like taking work home with you kind of a thing.
that's right. Yeah,
I think that it's really important to have boundaries between work and home, just so that you can kind of turn your brain off and um, not be constantly, distracted or turned on to work or anything like that. I think that everybody kind of does things differently too. So some folks might really thrive under that kind of pressure of, staying up late and getting it done now versus like spreading it out over a couple of weeks at work. Um, and that might just work better for their personalities too. So, it's definitely not a one size fits all
yeah.
kind of an idea.
Mm,
Um, but if it's something that's just kind of chronically, someone who's constantly taking work home with them, always feeling burned out, never being excited about it, just kind of always having this anxiety around it, then that's not healthy.
makes sense. Got it. And how can schools and workplaces better support mental well-being?
Um, I think that they're starting to get a little bit better. In schools, they have, students have access to school counselors, mental health providers, co-responders also, like for any kind of crises, will go into a school, um, and like in the moment support or mobile crisis teams will. And in the workplace, I think that there's a lot more that I've been noticing, at least in the jobs that I've held, that the EAP programs that have been offered um, have really been stepping up. So they've been offering free sessions for a certain amount of free sessions per year. Um, they offer discounts on like prescription medications, things like that. So I think that things are starting to look up a little bit, and that's helping with the stigmatization of mental health too, is just kind of acknowledging that um, just your everyday worker is going to go through something like this. And so just having it as part of your benefit plan that everybody has access to is, I think, is really great.
And in the light of what you are saying, Jessica, when do you think we will see the days where people would be taking days off for the sake of their mental health?
When will they?
Like, do you think in the near future there's a chance, possibility that people would be taking days off from their work or from their schools just for the sake of their mental health?
I think so. I see it even now that folks do that. And I think that that's really important for maintaining kind of, balance and things like that. I think um, it's important to determine your boundaries and your balance before it gets to that point too, so that you can maintain a healthy relationship between your work and your home life. Um, taking a mental health day doesn't fix everything is the problem. So if it's something that's been kind of building up and is a more chronic issue and things like that, maybe leading to more burnout or anything, taking a mental health day isn't going to fix it. So I think that it's good to have, mental health days for those times where we're not maybe a crisis has happened, or we're not feeling 100% in our work or in our lives at the moment, and just kind of needing to take a day to reset and things like that. But um I think that it's not a good like immediate fix for things that are more chronic or anything longer lasting like burnout.
True. And Jessica, like if we talk about the world itself, like as you live in the USA and I'm in India, like when it comes to USA, I know the like situation people have like in terms of economy and all. So do you think people would even get the chance to stop and smell the roses, if I put it that way? Like even if they are having this kind of issues, burnouts, do you think they would have the time to sit idle to think about mental health and all? Because at the end they have to survive in the USA, which is on the like it has lots of things going on right now. So is there
Mhm.
a possibility for the people to do that?
I don't know. I would hope so. Um, I think that it has to be intentional. And on an individual basis, I don't think it's not something that's just going to happen, where people will just have, mental wellness days or days off from work to kind of just relax or anything like that. I mean, it's not going to happen by itself. So it's definitely going to have to be something that's intentional on an individual basis, and really like knowing your own mental health and your own wellness and your own limits and boundaries and everything to be able to say, okay, I do need to take a day.
Yeah. Because what I feel is people are already worried about AI replacing human beings from workplace, workforce, and that kind of thing is already there. And if in this conditions, people start taking leave, or if they try to cut corners at the workplace for their mental health, I guess that would have the repercussions. People would have to face the repercussions of it. So even if they wish to take some time off, they won't be able to do it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I think it would really depend on the field as well, what the job is. So it's hard to say, but yeah, it's definitely something that would have to be, you know, um, the person would have to have a lot of self-awareness around the whole situation and be able to make a good decision for themselves.
And what are some misconceptions people have about therapies?
That it's just for crazy people. That uh that only people who have like weak minds or anything like that are needing to go to therapy. So still a lot of stigma around all of that and negative negative perceptions about what therapy actually is. And I think that there's just a huge misunderstanding around what therapy is anyway too, because I think that a lot of folks think that if you're going to therapy, you're going to get fixed and things are going to be all roses again too, but really it's hard work. And if the folks that are in therapy are, it's not necessarily an enjoyable experience. It's really difficult. And so I think that it just all kind of comes from that negative stigma, from the negative misconceptions around what therapy is. Um, so it's not just for, I mean, it's not just for folks who are experiencing really acute mental health crises or mental health issues. It's for everyday folks that just need, a sounding board and somebody to um, kind of bounce ideas off of and heal from whatever other traumas are that are in their past that are kind of affecting them now.
Yeah. And to avoid, I guess, this kind of mental stress and all, like people would rather have some sort of addictions to just feel the urge to escape. People would smoke cigarettes or they would consume alcohol rather than going to a therapist and taking medications. They would do this thing, temporary solutions, to just get rid of that thing. So, do you think that's the right way to do it? Obviously, it's not, but I want to know what's your take on it.
I think there's definitely a link. I I don't think I've met one single person that has not had a coexisting mental health condition along with their addiction. And I have my dual licensure as an LCSW and an LAC, so an addictions counselor as well. So I do a lot of work in addictions fields too, and it's it's nothing that you can't separate the two anymore, the mental health and the addictions. Um, there's there's almost always something that's being self-medicated by the addiction. And
Yes.
so it's serving a purpose in the moment. It's meeting a need and it is a coping skill. It's not necessarily a good one or a healthy one, but it is serving a purpose for that person. Um, so I think, in the moment, the addictions are really, like you said, like just self-medicating and kind of addressing mental health conditions in a different way instead of
Hmm,
really looking at it through therapy or through treatment.
true. And what's the one myth about mental health that needs to be busted?
Um, that it can't happen to me. Maybe. I think a
True.
lot of folks think that, well, that's for somebody else. That's not me. They might not realize or have the self-awareness or, there's, like I said before, pretty much everything can be traced back to trauma. So, any traumatic experiences cause ripple effects throughout a lifespan. So I think that, a myth that needs to be busted is that, folks aren't everybody's prone to a mental health concern. Like nobody gets an escape from it.
And Jessica, not as a professional mental health, guide, but as a person, what sort of advice would you like to give to the viewers and to the audience, in terms of anything, like from your life experiences that you know, but people don't know in general?
Um, that's a really loaded question. I think the biggest thing is having balance and boundaries.
Mm.
If folks don't have boundaries, then they get used up, they get burnt out, they get compassion fatigued and everything else in between. So if there's no boundaries and no balance, then everything kind of just gets off kilter and you're more prone to different things like depression and anxiety and things like that.
Okay. So, in a nutshell, moderation, right? Everything should be done in moderation.
Moderation and boundaries.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, on that note, Jessica, thank you a lot for your precious time and your sagacious advice. It means a lot to me and to my viewers as well. And I had a whale of time interviewing you, and thank you. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time. It was nice meeting you.
Likewise. Take care, Jessica.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.